But it's also about the passion. So if you walk around our plant in East London or you walk around our offices in Centurion, you feel the passion that people have for working for this organization. People are deeply connected to the brand, and people are deeply connected to what the brand stands for. And I think that for us is what drives us to having this 3% turnover rate. When we call on people to, for example, make time available to do work in our communities, they do that of their own volition. In fact, you don't even have to ask them. If you look at the number of initiatives that our people do in our communities through our employee volunteerism program, it really talks to the passion that people have for being associated with the brand and what the brand stands for. So it's a function of, the culture, how we lead, how people are empowered, the way in which we conduct ourselves on a day-to-day basis, all of us, the respect, the passion, and it's also about the brand. I mean, 3-pointed star is something that you definitely want to be associated with.
Abey, you spoke about agility being quite an important aspect of this change the game, right?
Yes.
Can you talk to us a bit more about how you're managing that transition in terms of your talent? How quick are they really changing across all levels? What are some of the things that you're doing?
Well, I think part of the program is really to ensure that you are able to build the skills and the ability and the competence within your team to do some of the things that we spoke about. So if I think about agility, for example, and the investments that we have made, firstly, in enabling our people to understand what it's about, and secondly, to enabling our people, once they've understood that, to find things within their own respective areas to ensure that we are becoming a lot more agile and we find opportunities to improve the way in which we operate in that space. That for us is a key element to that. So it's really about ensuring that you continuously build the capacity. And as you build that capacity, appreciate your people a lot more. Reward your people for the things that they do. And the reward for us, we've learned, is not always about the salary. It's about other things. It's about, all the manner of rewards that we have in place to acknowledge the efforts that our people put into how do we actualize agility. And as I said, you look at HR, for example, and I look at the processes that we have changed, and I think if you looked at any area of the business, you most likely will find some of the things that we have done here in HR. So you go to production, you'll find the same thing. You'll find how we are, for example, digitalizing our shop floor and making it a lot more agile to ensure that we are able to continue to be as competitive as possible, but most importantly, to remain as the premium brand that we are, and to remain a very, very important element of the C-class network within Daimler.
Okay, thank you. I've got another question over here.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the presentation. It's exciting to see how you have changed from paper to paperless, and you've digitized everything. I'm just curious to understand if there are any challenges that you came across as you were transitioning, and any resistance, and how you worked around those.
I'm saying in your presentation, the photos are mostly of young people. So I was wondering, did you dismiss or give packages for the older generation to leave? Or how do you carry them for them to accept such updated way of doing things?
The average age of our workforce in East London is about 43. So we do have a number of older people. Did we have resistance? Absolutely. We had resistance. We had some people saying, for example, you cannot manage leave in that way. You can't have people applying for leave and getting the leave authorized without a manager approving that. Big, big resistance. But, any change without the resistance is no good. I would prefer to have people standing up and saying to me, we don't agree with you, than to have people quietly accepting but resisting the change. So we had a lot of that. So it's about walking the path with people that are saying, this ain't going to happen. You walk a very, very long path with them. You get them to realize why it's important. And by the way, I have some of those who are resisting this being older people. But I also have some of them being younger people who said, no, there's no way that you can do that. And some of those people are today the biggest supporters of the journey that we are traveling. So it's about walking the path with them, acknowledging their input, acknowledging why they are resisting, engaging them on that, and ensuring that you bring them on board as much as possible. But of course, that doesn't stop you from continuing with the journey. It just means that you spend a lot more time trying to ensure that people understand the journey that you want to undertake.
Thank you. I think we've got a question.
Thank you. Sorry. I just want to find out just a quick one. How intense is your induction program, especially for the HR professionals, in order for them to understand the business? And how important is that to you?
It's absolutely critical. I just said earlier on, I spoke in a panel earlier, and I said one of the critical success factors for any HR professional is that you need to know your business. You will never be successful as an HR practitioner until you've known the business. So I expect HR people to know the business. I expect a person who works at the plant, if you are looking after the assembly plant, I expect you to spend time on the line. I expect you to know what our people are going through on a day-to-day basis. That way, you are able to become a lot better as an HR practitioner, but more importantly, you are able to come up with solutions that speak to the business challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis. So absolutely critical that people know the business and that they know the challenges that our people are going through on a day-to-day basis, and that they are able to work with business to finding solutions to that. So part of what we do with our induction program is to try and get people to know the business. And once you are in a role, let's say we appoint you as an HR business partner for the assembly line in East London, I expect you to be in the line on a daily basis. That way you learn a lot more about the business.
Hi, thank you. Firstly, I'm Warren Pierce from a company called Avery Dennison. I'm Warren Pierce from a company called Avery Dennison. I'd just like to thank you for the comprehensive deck that you shared with us. Not just high level, what your company does, but giving examples. I think we all appreciate coming here. That's why we're here. We want to hear what you're doing, examples that we can take back to our organizations. Specifically, I want to focus on the changes that you guys have made over the past years, particularly with learning. So example, you mentioned there that all your employees have mobile devices, smart devices. I guess the question is, what was your recipe to drive that, to gain buy-in from the different age groups, particularly your shop floor staff? How did you manage to successfully implement that in the plant level? Yeah, specifically in the plant level. The reason for that is you have young guys coming in, but majority might be older guys. They have that fear of technology. Why should I sit at a computer? Why should I view my pay slip on the computer? Can't I just go to my manager and have them printed? So just what was your key ingredients to achieve success in that particular?
Engagement. Engage your people, walk the path with your people, understand why they are resisting, understand why they are finding it difficult to embrace the change, walk the path with them. And that way you are able to dispel whatever myths that they may have about the changes that you're bringing on board. But we also pride ourselves, I spoke about Siapambila agreement earlier. It's an agreement that we've had over the years and an agreement that we continue to build on. But with that agreement comes a lot of work that has gone into building a relationship with our people and ensuring that our people feel that they are heard when they've got an issue, that they will be heard, and we may not necessarily agree, but they will be heard. And they will know why we may not agree with them if we don't agree with them. So it's really about engagement, engagement, and engagement. Walk the path with your people. And that way you are able to achieve some of the things that we've been able to achieve.
So it sounds like there's really like an HR-driven digital process that's leading the organization? Is this what we're talking about?
Well, firstly, digitalization is driving the business.
Right.
We embrace digitalization as an organization. That digitalization is something that we cannot do without. And just to give you an example, if you walk through a body shop today, so body shop is the first stage of building a car. That's where you put, the door frames, the axles, and whatever, you put them together. The body shop 20 years ago would have been run by hundreds of people. The body shop today is run by, we've got about 350 people working in the body shop, but it's driven mainly by about 500 robots that we've got helping to assemble the car. So digitalization is a reality. It's here. Now, you embrace digitalization, and once you've embraced that, you find opportunities elsewhere across the business to ensure that you are able to digitalize as much as possible. And as we do that, it of course requires that you have different skill sets within the organization. But with that comes opportunities to learn and learn and learn and learn. And with that comes the huge jump that you need to make from paper to being digital. As I said, body shop, 500 robots. We didn't have about 25 years ago.
Hi, my name is Kanyi, and thank you so much for the presentation. I saw you spoke about creating a feedback culture, right? So I'm assuming what you guys mean by that is having upward feedback as much as downward feedback. So my question is basically, how did you guys prepare your line managers to take that upward feedback just as seriously as the downward feedback that they're getting from their superiors?
It's an ongoing journey, and it's a journey that requires all of us to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. Allow yourself to be in a space where people will criticize you, will tell you you're doing a crappy job, or we think that you're doing a crappy job, and this is why we think that you're doing a crappy job. And you know that in people saying that to you, it's not necessarily to castigate you, but it's about people caring about you and seeing that there's something that you're doing that is probably not right. So with that comes, we've gone through a learning process, and we're still on that learning journey. It's something that we improve on a day-to-day basis. It's an ongoing learning journey, and it's really about our managers being attuned to the fact that you cannot continue to run just on the basis that you're giving feedback downwards. Today, for example, in the plant, what we do is just to strengthen that feedback culture was to say to our managers that we want a team leader about twice a month. We want them to sit down with their people, their whole team. Want them to sit down with their team. Want them to give feedback on the business and whatever feedback that we may have, but we also want them to hear from their people about what's bugging them and what they can do. So if you go across the plant, we see that happening. And I was quite impressed earlier this week. I heard feedback about this, upward and downward feedback, and looking at what our colleagues in Daimler Trucks and Buses have done. It's exciting because we are now starting to get to the core of what our people are going through on a daily basis, and I think with that we're going back to reclaiming our space in the lives of our people, and that is having the primary relationship being the relationship between your people and yourselves as leaders.
I'll take one more quick question, very, very fast, ma'am. Quick question.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. You just gave us a really tangible culture and standard of service from Mercedes-Benz South Africa. So my question is this exclusive to Mercedes-Benz South Africa, or is the standard at Mercedes-Benz any country I work in, any franchise I work in, if there's anything like that, if you do franchise, or it's just about Mercedes-Benz South Africa?
If you walk across every plant and every office in Daimler globally, you will find us talking about Leadership 2020. Of course, you will find some of the elements that are peculiar to South Africa because of the dynamics of the environment and the market within which we operate. So, for example, things like what we are able to do with Siapambili, you most likely will not find elsewhere. But you will find that the common thread that runs across all the Daimler operations is Leadership 2020. which we are customizing to South Africa and making sure that it's meaningful for us in South Africa. And what you see on that slide are some of the things that we have changed over the last 2.5 years. Quite a lot. Today, nobody within Mercedes-Benz South Africa has to walk around with a pay slip. I have my pay slip on my smartphone. I can get that on my phone. I don't need to print a pay slip today. What we have done also was to ensure that all of us within Mercedes-Benz have smartphones. So our blue-collar employees at the plant have got smartphones, which enable them to access some of these things, but which also enable them to be able to interact and to connect with the business a lot better than we have done in the past. So it's been a journey of ensuring that we change everything that we do and that we get to a point where we are a lot more digital. We remove any need for paper. The people that I work with will tell you that one of my pet hates is paper. One of my pet hates is paper. And I think we need to reduce the number of trees that we are killing with the papers that we generate on a yearly basis. So we are seeing the impact with the work that we have done. We still have a lot more to do, but I am excited about what we are able to do. And what excites me the most is that these are not things that Abey Kgotle dreams up because he's the executive director. Most of these are things that people within the team would have come up to the leadership team and said, we think that 1, 2, 3 should change. And we said to them, get on with it and change the process. So about 25 processes that we've changed over the last 2.5 years. And I said to the team the other day, where are the next? Where's the next wave of processes that we need to change? So we are leading the way as an HR team, and it's critical that we are able to embrace these changes, that we are able to embrace the need for us to be as digital as possible and to enable, in the end, the ease of doing business with HR within the organization. So it's an ongoing journey, and innovation is something that we continue to do, and innovation is something that we need to continue to embrace as the HR fraternity. And therefore, we continue to inspire our people to look for more. We continue to create an organization that inspires our people to thrive for more, to thrive for what's next, to thrive for much greater heights than we have achieved so far. And I think what's critical for me is that this is something that runs across all the levels within the organization, which is why, as you see on those slides, you have all our people, all of them, blue collar, white collar, manager, an operator. We have all of us working together to understand this culture journey that we are on and to understand why it's important and to do whatever it takes from our respective roles to ensure that this cultural change is a reality. It's all about our people. Our people are critical to this culture change. You cannot change the culture of the organization without acknowledging that people are absolutely central to it. And we see it within Mercedes-Benz that it's really about our people. They are making it happen. And we know that together, blue collar, white collar, together, we are a lot stronger than we are as individuals. Together, in all our diversity, we are able to build a much stronger MBSA. But we also acknowledge that the world that we live in, and that's the diversity that I talk about. We also acknowledge, if I can just go, I'm running out of time now, so just want to, these are just some of the snippets of the work that we do with our different teams. We accept that VUCA is a reality. So what we knew yesterday will not sustain us tomorrow. How we managed our culture yesterday isn't going to sustain us tomorrow. And therefore, we need to continuously innovate and look for opportunities to be better at what we do. Which is why we have also now launched the Purpose Journey. because we said we've now been able to change the culture. We know that the culture is more or less where we want it to be, but we want to be driven by something bigger than just coming to work on a daily basis. And that's how we went into the purpose journey. And we said that our purpose as Mercedes-Benz is to first move the world. And we're saying that because we acknowledge our pioneering role in the world of mobility. And we accept that with that comes a huge responsibility to always be a step ahead. And I always say that people, somebody was asking me earlier, well, who are your competitors? And somebody said, well, BMW and Audi. I say, yeah, well, maybe they are. But we beat them each time. With the premium, with the number one in the premium segment. And we continue to be number one. Now, it's partly because of the products that we produce, but it's also a huge responsibility to always be a step ahead, which is why we first move the world. And we first move the world, we acknowledge our pioneering role, we acknowledge that we always need to look for something better, we acknowledge that the work that we do today has to leave a positive footprint in our society. We acknowledge that we have to do what we do in a sustainable manner, which is why we are reducing the level of carbon emissions, which is why we're moving more and more towards electrification, and which is why we want to ensure that our carbon footprint is reduced to the extent possible. So it's all about sustainability. And it's therefore about acknowledging that our role is a lot bigger than just building the cars. And this is what drives us as Mercedes-Benz. First, moving the world. And I just want to end with this short video clip. And in the end, we work hard and we play hard. We like playing. We like playing a lot, which is why you see us always rocking our jeans and our sneakers, because we like playing. We want to create an environment within MBSA that enables people to play, but to work very hard and to achieve the milestones that we achieve year on year. So let me just end with this short video clip and give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. Where's the video clip? Can you play the video clip for me there?
This is what the future looks like. A world of EQ, shared services, autonomous driving, electric cars, and the Internet of Things. This is a picture of tomorrow, and this is how we get there today. This is Leadership 2020, the pillar of our strategy, the definition of change in progress, change that waits for nothing. Executed by a revolutionary 360 culture change and achieved through our best-kept secret ingredient, our people. Those destined to move forward together, not as a faceless collective, but as empowered individuals. Galvanized to greatness every step of the way by our leadership principles, the keys to our culture change, powered across the board by passion, integrity, discipline, and respect. Achieved through customer orientation, co-creation, learning, a pioneering spirit, empowerment, agility, purpose, and a drive to win. But there's no denting the present and paving the way without the game changers. From feedback culture and performance management, best fit and swarm organization, decision-making and incubation, to leadership and development, creating unprecedented impact with trust, agility, and co-creation. All the while cultivating future-centric digital thinking to innovate and operate faster, better together. Bringing the future ever closer while remaining unwavering in ambition and driven by our purpose to move the world. Because we are Mercedes-Benz.